Welcome to another edition of Park Talk Podcast, the official podcast of the Naperville Park District.
Hi everyone, I'm Sue Omenson. Many people in the baby boomer generation are now retiring, as approximately 10,000 people are turning 65 each day in the U.S. Transitioning from a busy full-time job to a life without that daily occupation can be challenging. Connecting with the Park District can help, whether it's finding the perfect retirement job, volunteering, starting a fitness program at the gym, or taking a class to learn a new skill. Today, I'm happy to welcome as our guest Marty Ceranek, who is in his third year of retirement and is enjoying some volunteer work out in our parks. So to start out, would you just tell us a little bit about your business and what your working life was like before you retired?
Yeah, I had sold my business 2.5, 3 years ago. The company was Kitchen Tune-Up. They're a franchise out of Aberdeen, South Dakota, and I owned all of Southern DuPage, which of course includes Naperville being the largest town in my area. And we do obviously with Kitchen Tune-Up, we do work in the kitchen. Sometimes new cabinets, but more often refacing or door replacements and vanities. And it's just a great company. I was lucky to have it for 25 years, and I had my finger in just about every phase of the operation as far as sales or project managing or ordering or measuring. And so I was obviously very busy trying to oversee my work crew and such. And once I retired, I'm like, I never thought that I could not do nothing. And it took a long time, about a year or year and a half, to realize I don't have to do something. I can just enjoy the day. And that was quite a transition. I'd say it took me about a year and a half. So it was coasting into a totally new lifestyle. And at the beginning, of course, there was tons of work to do around the house that I hadn't done in the last 25 years. Right. And then, it kind of got slow in the winter, but we leave for a couple weeks. And then I decided I need to do something, but I don't want to commit to daily schedules.
Sure.
So I checked at several different volunteer organizations, a lot of them food related. And then with the nice weather, I like to take walks, and I saw litter along the way, and I thought, I can pick up litter. I know I can do that. So I got in touch with the Naperville Park District, and it's nice because I work when I want. I ask them what parks need help, and then I just work at my leisure. So it's been perfect. So it was quite a switch from having multitasking and running a business as opposed to just picking up litter.
Yes, I think that's true, that winding down from such a packed schedule is a real transition. Yeah. I always tell people what's retirement like, and I go, well, there's three things that are just great about retirement. Number one being you can stay up as late as you want because you can wake up whenever you want. Secondly, when you wake up in the morning, there's no stress. I used to stress within 10 minutes of waking up on the upcoming job or, blah, blah, blah. And third is if you didn't have to deal with anybody, you don't have to. So those are three nice things to look forward to in retirement. But then good to know.
You need to do something. And so I started doing more volunteer work. And it's all not committed, but as I can do it, I can do it.
That's really nice. So when did you know it was the right time to retire?
I just had gotten to the point where I had it running smoothly, and over the years, I had saved enough money to live a very comfortable retirement, and I decided, let's see if I can sell it. And it took a while to sell the business, but the fellow who bought it is in Clarendon Hills and is still doing very well. And I helped him transition for the first 5 or 6 months. And then, like I say, I got a good price for it, and I enjoyed all the years that I had it, and I didn't want to get tired of doing it.
Right.
So I go, well, this is just a good time. And fortunately, we closed a month before the pandemic hit.
Oh, yes. That's excellent timing.
Talk about some good luck, yes. Yes.
I would think that that business would be kind of stressed now because of the supply chain issues.
supply chain issues and getting laborers and all the inflationary prices. The amount that you have to charge now just to pay for gas, pay for supplies, pay for help is just escalated. Fortunately, I had two guys that worked for me for 25 years. They lived up in Wakanda, and they were a father-son, and I had them for 25 years. So I really never had to worry about having good workers, because that's really key.
That is.
And nowadays, yes, the supply chains are really difficult, but there's a strong demand for home remodeling, especially after the pandemic, because people weren't spending money on travel, entertainment, and they're sitting in their kitchens. It's like, I'm tired of looking at this. I want to do something. And the nice thing is Kitchen Tune-Up has a lot of options where you don't have to tear out the whole kitchen.
Exactly.
So it's a great, great niche, and I loved doing it. I love the people in Aberdeen, South Dakota, and have a lot of good friendships with people all over the country now.
That's great. So now if you have time to travel, you have people to see in those areas.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. And places to stay.
That's great. Well, it must be a really good feeling too, to know that someone is carrying on your business.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And he's kept the same workers that I had too. So that's a big
really,
asset.
Really great. So how did you connect with the Naperville Park District to start volunteering on a more regular basis?
Actually, Naperville and I go back many years. We live in Downers Grove, but when I got out of college, my first job was in Naperville. It was at the Naperville Racquet Club in 1973, which was just opening. And that's, of course, when Naperville was 40,000 people,
right?
Unlike what it is today. And so I was kind of familiar with Naperville. And then when I was looking to buy a franchise, I actually went to the Naperville Library to read up on franchising. And I found this company in Aberdeen, South Dakota that did something unique. And I went there and liked it and bought a franchise, and that was just fantastic. So Naperville, we come to town quite a bit to have dinner, and Naperville's just a neat town.
Oh.
And everybody I've met at the Park District says it's just as nice as can be.
Oh,
this
I'm
is
really
not a
glad
paid
to hear
comment, by the way.
Really glad to hear that. Well, and you had mentioned litter picking, and that's something that we were able to do during the pandemic, because for a while, a lot of our areas in our parks were like the basketball courts and the playgrounds were all closed because of the pandemic. And then our trails were still open, and it made it hard for our staff to coordinate volunteer groups to do things like tree planting or mulching, because you weren't allowed to have more than a few people together at one time. Right. But we were able to keep on giving people the opportunity to litter pick and then collect it in a bag and leave it for our staff. And so that was one thing that we kept doing. Yeah.
And the nice thing with doing that type of job is that you get your litter picker. You have a nice shirt that says you're a volunteer. But after the first couple of times, I decided I'm going to bend over and pick up everything. And it turns out to be one heck of a workout.
I suppose,
I've walked 2 or 3 miles, and I've bent over hundreds of times, and I don't have to go to Planet Fitness today. So there's a lot of pluses for it, for sure. And then I've been doing weeding around the and trimming bushes up by the Riverwalk, which is just such a tremendous asset that Naperville has. And it just needs a little touch-ups here and there, so it's great. And again, like I said, I can do it when I'm ready and on my time. So it's an ideal volunteer situation.
Well, we really appreciate it. So many people visit the Riverwalk. It's our most visited park, of course. And being downtown, a lot of people just walk along it when they're wanting something to do on a Friday night or a Saturday.
Right.
And so to have, it's a big challenge for our staff now that we are short-staffed to keep all of the beds free of weeds. Right.
In fact, I had cleaned up the beds around the Park District office, and I happened to be in Naperville later that week at night for dinner, and I walked back, and weeds were already growing back. So I talked to my fella, and he goes, "Well, hey, that's job security." I go, "Yeah, that's why I make the big bucks." So there's always something that can be done.
That's true, there is. And overall, how does volunteering enrich your life in retirement?
Well, I went to Fenwick High School, which is a Catholic prep school, and they were always big into giving back. My mom used to do a lot of volunteer work, my dad, and it's just, I've been completely happy with my life and my career, and it's like I'm in a position that I want to give back, but I almost have to give back. I mean, for all the blessings I've had over the years. So that's one of the advantages. And the more I do volunteering, and I'm tired at the end of the day, it's like, oh yeah, I did something. With the food banks, obviously you're helping people more directly. Where
Right.
picking up is just kind of keeping things looking tidy, but it's all something that you are giving of your time. I came across this on the web one time, and it talked about the 4 pillars of retiring abundantly.
Ooh, nice.
And the 4 are becoming the person you want to be. Number 2, doing the things you want to do. 3, being with the people you want to be with. And 4, making the difference you want to make. And I would say pillar 5, having enough money accumulated to do the previous 4.
Yes, that's an important part of planning, that's for sure. So what advice would you have for others as they begin adjusting to retirement?
I think one of the big things is you have to prepare before you suddenly retire. You have to have a plan. You have to make sure your finances are in order. You have to hopefully have some hobbies or opportunities to occupy your time. Otherwise, it becomes very jarring. You're used to working, and then suddenly, boom, nothing. Well, this is fun for a couple days, and suddenly like, oh my golly, I have the rest of my life. So you want to be sure that you want to do it and make sure you're set. And it took me quite a while to get used to retired. It was probably 1.5 years before I actually got to the point where I don't have to do anything today if I don't want to. And that's once you get to that point, it's a great feeling, and there's no going back.
I can imagine not. Oh, that's very nice.
Hey, I appreciate being able to share this with you, and hopefully it inspires some other people to do some volunteer work.
Thank you for listening. The Naperville Park District's mission is to provide park and recreation experiences that promote healthy lives, healthy minds, and a healthy community. Park Talk Podcast is a production of the Naperville Park District.